Hey everyone, how's it going? Back here with another video. Finally getting some time to sit here and record a video that I've been trying to record for a while now. But what this is this is going to be my fourth month with CFI. I've officially now driven over 40,000 miles OTR. And the last time I did one of these was around the 1 month mark. So it's been about 3 months since the last time I did one of these videos. So I thought I would do another one to kind of just share with y'all how things have been going with driving with CFI. I wrote some things down because I do better when I write things down. I tend to forget things. But one of the things I wanted to talk about just overall is my experience with CFI after 4 months. So after this first 4 months, I'm still enjoying my time with CFI. I don't have any major issues to talk about with CFI. I mean, driving with them, I mean, as far as rookie driving is concerned, I think that for me, I've gotten everything that I've wanted to get out of this experience thus far. That's the easy way to really say it. When I came on to this company and when I wanted to come into truck driving, a couple of things that I wanted was I wanted to go to the place where I could get the most experience in the time that I was going to be under contract with the company. The second thing was I wanted to make sure that I wanted to be with the company that was going to be responsive to any questions, any concerns, anything of those kinds of things, that I was going to be able, that hopefully they would be responsive to my comments, my request, and so far I've had no problems with that. And then so those to be honest, and of course there's the pay, but I'll get into pay for a little bit because I'm going to tell you why, as a rookie truck driver, your major concern shouldn't be pay. In my opinion, pay matters to an extent. I understand money makes the world go round, but I want to talk about that for just a little bit, but we're going to come back to that in just a minute. But really, what I was hoping when I started working here is that I wouldn't be staying still for too long. I've heard so many people that have worked for so many different companies and whatnot that have said that sometimes they'll just stay stuck for what could be a day or 2 days, and they have the hours, they just don't have the loads. So they'll get stuck for like a day or two doing nothing. And for me, that was my biggest fear when I was wanting to come into this, because, well, you don't get paid. One, you don't get paid if you're not rolling. So, or you get paid, or you don't get paid as much if you're not rolling. Two is you don't get the experience. The only way you get experience is if you're able to get out on the road. So if you're not able to get out on the road, then how is this a benefit to you at all? But luckily, throughout my first 4 months here at CFI, there's been very seldomly very little instances where I'm still and I have hours. As long as I have hours, typically they have a load for me and then they have another one lined up, and then if there is any kind of gap in between, typically it's no longer than a few hours. Every now and then, depending on the situation, you may have to wait till the next morning to get a load, but never have I had to wait longer than 24 hours to get something, to get a load, to go and be moving somewhere. That's never happened here at CFI, so they always keep me rolling. So I'm able to average about if I'm not taking any extended like home time or anything like that, obviously, I'm able to pull at least maybe 25 to 3,000 miles a week, which for me is perfect. I know for some people they're like, well, I want to do 3,500. It's like, well, that's more power to you, but I just don't see how you're going to make that happen unless you're maybe cheating your logs a bit, which you can't really do when you have ELDs. But anyways, 2,500 to 3,000 miles a week is about what I average here after 4 months. That hasn't changed since I started, and that's been great for me. That's why in 4 months I've been able to accumulate over 40,000 miles with the company already. And for me, I feel like that just blows my mind that I've already been on the road out here for 40,000 miles. There's just so much that I've already learned in my short amount of time. And I wanted to share some of those things with you, because throughout that first month, in the last video that I did about driving with CFI, in the first month that I did, I was only maybe 10,000 miles in, and that was just me trying to get my feet wet, me just getting used to being out here and driving the truck and backing it up and whatnot. Now, after these first 4 months, throughout these last 3 months past that, I've been able to start kind of perfecting things, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of tweaking my craft a little bit as far as being a driver. How do I get better at certain things? What do I need to do going forward? What are the things that maybe I wasn't taught in training that I'm trying to teach myself now that I've kind of gotten the feel for it and whatnot? Let's try to improve on things. Let's try to improve on the techniques. Let's try to improve on different things and whatnot. And so I've learned so many things. I don't want to cram them all into one video, because I feel like this video is going to be like 2 hours if I do that. But I did kind of narrow it down to about 5 things that I wanted to talk about. What I've learned out here on my own as I've gone along with truck driving at this point. And so one thing I did learn, and I learned right away, and I've been trying to continue to find different ways to get better at it, is sleep. Getting sleep out here can be very difficult at times, because you don't have a sleep schedule. This isn't a 9-to-5 job, and if you're gonna do over the road driving, OTR driving, it's never gonna be a 9-to-5 job. There are truck companies and truck jobs out there that are 9-to-5s, Monday through Friday, truck driving jobs. If you're able to get one of those jobs that pays well, by all means, that's cool, that's great. But I'll tell you, with no experience driving, very, 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 there are going to be a very small, tiny amount of companies that are going to be willing to hire you. So OTR is typically the way you got to go to start off, to get the best experience possible. You got to at least get a year to 2 years under your belt before you can start going to these maybe smaller companies that that can fit better schedules for you depending on what you want. And you'll be able to show them, I got a year or 2 years of safe driving under my belt. And then at that point, then yeah, but there's going to be very little companies that are going to be willing to put you through training and stuff like that when you have no truck driving experience at all, just a CDL. But anyways, that's beyond the point. So sleep schedule. You got to throw away your sleep schedule. The first thing you got to do when you get out here by yourself is you got to take whatever sleep schedule you had and you got to throw it in the trash, because it's gone. You are not going to have that out here. And so what you will have, though, is guaranteed every day 10 hours of break time. What time frame does those 10 hours come in? That's going to be up to what your load delivery times are, what times you're driving at. Things of that sort are going to dictate how much or what time of the day you're going to take your 10, but you will get 10 consecutive hours every day that you're on the clock. So in those 10 hours, you just have to find a way to get at least 7 hours of sleep. You just have to try to find a way. If you're going to be one of those people that are going to try to fight through, well, I can fight off with 3 hours of sleep. I'm a night owl. I can do it. I don't need that much sleep. I'll tell you, the worst thing you can do out here to yourself is drive tired. Driving tired will cause so many mistakes out here. And the worst of the mistakes is getting into an accident. You don't want to get into any accidents out here. The moment you get into an accident, depending on the severity of that accident, that could be it for your career, for your trucking career. And not just maybe your trucking career, that could be the end of your life. If the accident is bad enough, it could be the end of your life. I'm just being realistic with it. And the number one cause of accidents and mistakes is tired driving, sleepy driving. And it happens all too often out here. You'll listen to stories of guys and gals that'll tell you I only got 2 hours of sleep last night, so I'm operating off of coffee and caffeine, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, how are you even standing and walking off of 2 hours of sleep? That is not smart. That is very unhealthy in so many different ways. So you have to try to at least get 7 hours of sleep a day, and you just have to try. You just have to do it, and it can be difficult because you're not going to sleep at the same time every day. For me, sometimes I'll be going to sleep at a normal hour, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and waking up in the morning and then driving. But sometimes I have to drive in the middle of the night depending on the delivery times or the loads and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll need to force myself to sleep during the day. Sometimes I'll have to force myself to go to sleep at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon so that I can wake up at midnight and start driving throughout the night, because that's just what has to happen in order to make a delivery on time, and so on and so forth. And so if you're not used to that, you have to find ways to make your body go to sleep. And one of the things that I found is, obviously, if you're trying to sleep during the day, which is probably the most difficult, close all of your curtains. Get yourself a sunshade for the windshield. It can be a normal size one, or you can go buy like the one that fills up the whole, like the truck size one that fills up the whole windshield. I just bought a normal car one. I bought it from like the Dollar General. I think it was like $5 or something like that. I think it was like $3 or $5. I didn't want to spend too much on it because I knew that it's just gonna get messed up eventually. So why spend all the money why spend $30 for a big one? I can just buy one for $3. So that's what I did. And what I do is I put it right in the middle, and then I close the curtains as far as I can, and boom, I have almost complete darkness throughout the whole entire day if I need it in the truck. So if I need to sleep during the day, I close the curtains, put the sunshade up, and keep all the windows closed, turn off all the lights, and it's dark as if it would have been 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So I'm able to kind of trick my body into thinking it's nighttime. If I know that I need to sleep during the day, I'm not going to drink a lot of caffeine in the middle of the night. I'm gonna just light caffeine, maybe a cup of coffee, but not more than 1 cup of coffee, and stay away from those high sugars that are gonna keep you from having your body shut down. And then just, if you need it, I wouldn't recommend things like sleeping pills and stuff like that. I think that might be a little too intense. But melatonin, little small dose of melatonin will help you kind of relax and help you go to sleep and shut down. And then that's it. Then you just keep going, and then eventually, because our bodies work on different kinds of clocks and whatnot, eventually your body will just get used to going to sleep whenever you want it to out here. That's what I found. At least that's worked for me. Like, I can pretty much, if I wanted to go to sleep right now, put my head down on that pillow, I guarantee you I'd be out in like 10-15 minutes, just because I've already taught my body that you need to be able to go to sleep at any time whenever you're ready to go to sleep, because it's just how it rolls out here. There's just no such thing as a consistent schedule. You're always going to be on a different kind of schedule depending on the loads that you're getting. It's just how it goes, and you have to get used to it. And if that's not something that you think you can get used to, then you may have to rethink what kind of truck driving you want to do. I wouldn't say scrap truck driving altogether. I'd say just be aware and careful about what kind of truck driving you may want to get into, because this is over the road truck driving. This is what it entails. You don't ever go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day. And then, of course, during your 34s, that's your time to obviously get all your stuff done that you maybe haven't been able to do during the week, during your 34-hour resets. But one of the things that's most important to me during a 34-hour reset is to make sure that I get enough sleep. If I feel like this is the time for me to go ahead and get a good 10 or 11 hours of consecutive sleep, right now is the time to do that. Catch up a little bit with maybe some of the sleep you haven't been getting during the week. Do it during your 34. Even if you take 12 hours of consistent sleep during your 34, you still have another 20, quick math, another 22 hours to yourself to do whatever else you needed to do. So yeah, you have enough time to catch up on your sleep during your 34, but make sure that you are getting enough sleep every day, because it does matter when you're sitting in that chair. The worst thing you want to be is a tired driver. Of course, most companies, especially here with CFI, if you, for whatever reason, If you just feel like you are so dead tired, you can't keep your eyes open while you're driving, the best thing for you to do is to find a place to stop. Give a call to, if it's in the middle of the night, give a call to CFI. If you're working for CFI, I'm not sure how it works for other companies. But for CFI, call your CFI dispatcher. They're 24/7. So you give a call to one. You tell them, hey, I'm really tired. I don't think I can keep driving tonight. I know that I need to get this load over here by this time, but I'd be lying to you if I was told you I just wasn't dead tired and I'm falling asleep driving. They're gonna tell you, okay, go ahead and find somewhere safe, pull over, get a couple hours of sleep, and then let us know when you're ready to roll. If it's during the day, which typically is when your fleet manager is working, the best thing to do is to call your fleet manager first. If your fleet manager knows what you are doing, you're not going to get in trouble for making a smart decision, right? If you can't call your fleet manager at night, so dispatch is the next thing you would call. They'll put it in the notes. They'll make the notes, but you have to make sure that you're going to tell them, I just need like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Don't tell them I'm going to go to sleep for 8 hours. Like, that's maybe a little bit too overkill. But they will allow you to pull over and get some sleep if you feel like you need a little bit of sleep to get back going to finish out the rest of your drive and whatnot. But the key is that just make sure that during your 10s that you're trying to make sure that you get the proper amount of sleep. Typically it's going to be about 7 to 8 hours for a good amount of sleep. I know some people can operate off of 5 to 6. Anything less than 5, I think you're playing with fire, I think. Because think about it like this too, one just small little thing. You are typically every day you're going to be driving an average of about 8.5 to 11 hours a day. You can only drive 11 hours max per day, but typically you're gonna do your planning out where you're gonna be driving about 8.5 to sometimes the full 11 hours a day. If you're only getting 4 hours of sleep before making an 8.5 to 11 hour drive, you are going to get sleepy. You are going to be driving some of that trip sleepy and tired. When you start doing this thing and you start doing and you start rubbing your face and rubbing all over, you're tired. You're already tired. You're forcing your body to stay up by trying to stay awake and drive, and that's the worst thing you can do, because your mind stops focusing on what you're doing and focuses more on wanting to go to sleep. So you stop seeing things that you normally would see, or you start seeing things that you normally wouldn't see. You start having small little crazy hallucinations and stuff like that. And when it comes to that point, you have to just pull over and get some sleep. But yeah, sleep schedule is pretty much not a thing. One of the things that I did learn, and I learned it the hard way a few times, is that when I began driving, I was not utilizing all of my mirrors while I was driving. I was not very good at that. And because I was not very good at utilizing my mirrors, I had a mishap with one of the trailers. I unfortunately clipped one of the wheels of a trailer onto a stone pillar, and luckily I didn't damage anything on anybody's property or anything like that. But I did damage the wheel. I did bend it, and it had to get repaired. And that was on me, because I wasn't utilizing all of my mirrors to make sure that I was clear of obstacles and whatnot, because I just thought, this is all I got to do to make this turn. I'm going to be fine. So because I didn't do that, I made a mistake. And so I went through training for it and found out through the safety training that I went through that I had not been utilizing my mirrors properly. Whose fault is that? I don't know. That's hard to say. A little bit is mine, because I should have been more coherent to think I need to use all of my mirrors, and if I don't know how to use them, I need to ask somebody how to use my mirrors correctly. People in safety sat me there, showed me how to use the mirrors correctly, and ever since then I have been more cognizant of using all of the mirrors, every single one. The door mirrors on the sides, the convex mirrors on the bottom, the hood mirrors, the mirror that's up here On the right side, on the passenger side door, there's a mirror. Some of the trucks have them, some of them don't. But if it does, there's a mirror that kind of sits right on top of the door. People will tell you that mirror is used to see who's coming in on that on the passenger side of the door. Well, that's one way. That's one thing. But really, what it's also used for is it's used as a measurement that you can use on your blind side, on what's supposed to be your blind side. But it's what you can use to see how close you are to things like curbs and cars. Because sometimes you can look at the mirrors in the front, and you can see that, but you can't measure the distance as to how far are you from a curb, from an embankment, or anything like that, or a car, or whatever, another vehicle. With that mirror, you can look at it, and it'll show you just how far you are, how close you are to it. I didn't know that. That was a great thing to learn. I also learned that I wasn't positioning my mirrors correctly. Once I learned how to position those mirrors correctly, night and day, what I could see, I feel like I could see everything. One of the things that the trainer told me was, if you utilize your mirrors correctly, if you position them in the right spots and whatnot and everything correctly, you will never be blind. There will be no such thing as a blind spot. And he was right. I gotta say, when he was saying all that stuff, I was kind of thinking in my head, like, well, there kind of still is, I mean, you can't like see things over here on the passenger side. No, as soon as we adjusted all the mirrors and he showed me how to use them correctly, you're not blind. You really aren't. And one of the things that he did also teach me too is, when you do a blind side back, it's inevitable you're going to have to do a blind side back here and there. It's not recommended, but you are going to have to. There's a way you can do it where you will not be blind. And what he taught me, and I'm going to share it with y'all, is you use your hood mirror on the passenger side, right, on the hood. As long as you have it positioned correctly, you can see everything behind you, to the right, from behind you, from that mirror, right, as you're positioning the truck for a 45 degree, for a 45 degree back or whatever, blind side. And then the other thing you have to use is right over here, you have a window here. Most trucks, some of them do, some of them don't, but most trucks have a window right here on the passenger side in the sleeper. If you open up that window, you'll be able to look back from the driver's seat like this, and you'll be able to see what you're looking at. You'll be able to see where you're backing into. And if you were getting close to hitting somebody, you could see it in this window. That is something that I never knew, that I didn't even think about. I never thought about opening that thing up to see what's going on over here if I can't see it in the mirrors. You will be able to see it from here. That blew my freaking mind when he told me that. So, yeah, if there's one thing I've learned out here, mirrors are so important. Position them correctly. Utilize every single one of them when you're driving. Utilize the windows if you need to sometimes. And keep your eyes active. Don't ever just keep your eyes straight. Yes, it's very important to look straight to see where you're going, to make sure that you're not going to hit anything, right, and whatnot, and where you need to turn. But you do need to train your eyes to be active, to move over to all of the mirrors that you have, making sure that you're not keeping big gaps in between when you're looking at your mirrors on the left, when you're looking at your mirrors on the right, and so on and so forth. If you're keeping your eyes active, most of the time you're going to know what's going on, not just in front of you, but what's going on around you. If you're one of those people that just stays laser focused on what's going on in front of you, and the only times you look at the mirrors is when you're going to shift lanes, I don't think you're doing it right. I don't think that's the smart way to do it. I think the smart way to do it is to just keep your eyes active. Maybe for me, I usually move my eyes around about every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds, I'm moving my eyes to kind of see what's going on here. And then, of course, I'm paying attention here, and then I'm making sure to just go here quick, 1, 2, back up, 1, 2, back up, 1, 2, back up. Every kind of 30 seconds to a minute, I'm just kind of paying attention because I want to know what's going on around me as well. Because you never know. Somebody could be coming in too close to you over here, and you're not paying attention to it because you're only looking over here. Well, the moment you see it happening over here, you might be able to have a chance to either pull away so that someone doesn't hit you, or honk, or pull that horn before something happens to you. keep your eyes active, use your mirrors correctly. That's something that I've learned that's been very important to me, and that's helped me a lot out here since in these last couple of months.